A very highly requested video is tips for things at school, college, university and things like that. Help if I had my notebook at hand. Ta-da! So I decided to come up with a list of things that I thought would be very, very useful for people who are still at school. Things that I did at home and at school which I found so very useful, and I don't think I would have coped very much at all if I didn't have these things that I did. So I want to share that with you because I thought they were very, very useful, and hopefully they'll be useful for yourself as well. One of the main things that a lot of people with dyspraxia really struggle with is managing their time around their school bag and things like that, and having things organised in their bag and just being able to organise themselves, because organisation is definitely not one of those things at the top of that list. I'm going to show a few examples and I emphasise on the few. So 3 things that were at the very top of my list of things that were really, really important was 1, having a spacious bag. A bag that's big enough to actually fit your stuff. At school, I remember for some reason, the smaller the bag, the cooler you were, which isn't great because you could fit like 1 book in there and it was the smallest book you have. I don't understand their logic of that, but having a spacious bag I thought was really, really important. A colour-coded timetable in your planner, very, very important. Having it colour-coded helps you just kind of look at it easier, makes it a bit more nicer to look at. Always having one on you is really important because I never learnt my timetable ever. My timetable was split across 2 weeks, so week 1, week 2, never learnt it, didn't even bother trying, I don't think, because I just knew I wouldn't remember it. So always having the timetable either folded up in my pencil case as well as or having it in my school planner. I'm pretty sure everyone gets given a school planner, at least I did at school. I imagine they still do that. There's usually space in there for you to put that, so definitely have it in there, and I highly recommend colour coding it, just makes it easier to look at. An organised pencil case. Never underestimate the importance of having an organised pencil case. It took me a little while to learn that this was an important thing, because having a pencil case that was just filled with so much crap is unbelievable. You cannot organise yourself. Making sure you have 2 or 3 pens that are black, maybe some blue ones that you can write notes with, and you know, your pencil, your rubber and your mathematical items, maybe in a separate little mathematic box. I used to have one of those, your calculator and whatnot, but make sure it's not cluttered with loads and loads of different coloured pencils, loads and loads of pens. Maybe have a separate pencil case for that. I did because I'm super cool, but it just means you're more organised. This is one of the bags I recommend, given this one's not very pretty, and I know it's school, everyone wants pretty things, but sometimes just a plain black bag is all you need. This one in particular is actually a laptop bag, so it is a rucksack, which I recommend having. Having a side bag can be really uncomfortable because I know a lot of people like to have every single book ever, which I'll come to that in a second. The idea of these is that you have a space to put your laptop. In here, a lot of people who have special needs will be given a laptop to have, so you would put that in there, or if you don't, it's just a way to separate all the things. In here I've got my spare leftover posters and things because I went to an event last weekend, but then I've also got in the front, I've got my pencil case, which is super cool. No haters please. I've got an extra battery charger for my phone. I've got little pockets where I can, you know, put little things if need be. So it's not pretty, but it does the job, and that's the important bit. Not everyone gets a school locker, but I definitely had one within the first 3 years of school. If you do get one, it's okay if you don't have one. I know not everyone's able to get them, but if you do have one, I recommend putting in there a timetable on the door. Again, you can never have a timetable in too many places, although I'm sure someone would prove me wrong on that point. Please don't. In your locker, so the timetable, a spare pencil case. I was always forgetting pencil cases, or someone was always losing pens. So I recommend having a spare pencil case in there with just, you know, the bare minimal essentials: pens, pencils, rubbers, stuff that are likely to get lost or would need replacing, or something that if you forgot or left your pencil case at home, you've got something to keep you going in your locker. Now this might just sound really silly, but to me I thought it was really important to have a light waterproof coat. I didn't like having big jackets because I found myself unable to organise myself with wearing a big jacket, and having a rucksack on my back I got too confused, and it would take me even longer to kind of organise myself and leave the class. I was always the last person to leave the class because I always spent forever putting things in my bag. Always have a bag, very clear, you know, not loads of stuff in it. But having a lightweight waterproof jacket was ideal to have in my locker, so that I could just have a normal jacket during the day, and if it was raining or anything like that, I knew that I had a waterproof jacket at hand, so I wasn't lugging around loads of stuff all in one go. Despite having the waterproof jacket in my locker, I would also carry around with me in my bag one of those small compacted umbrellas, you know, just in case I'm going from one place to the other and my waterproof jacket is on the other side of campus and I'm going to get rained on. Always good to have. Just a small one, nothing big, lightweight, put it in your bag, doesn't take up much space, great. Now a lot of people with dyspraxia, because memory isn't a very strong point with us, we worry that we're not going to have all the right books, and it's very, very well known for students to carry every single book with them in their bag. I cannot emphasise how unhealthy that is. Unhealthy because it causes a lot of back problems. Again, another reason why I highly recommend a two-strap backpack to just kind of help balance the weight out on the body, just because if you do feel the need that you desperately have to carry around every single book all the time, you're less likely to hurt yourself. But please don't do that anyway, please don't. Another good reason why having a locker is a good idea. What I used to do is, at the beginning of school, I'd go in before the bell and everything, and I would figure out what I needed lesson-wise before lunch. Anything after lunch would go in my locker, because I wouldn't need to go back to that until lunchtime. So I'd have my lessons, I'd have all the books, and then at lunchtime, either at the beginning or the end of lunchtime, depends on where I am and where my lessons are, I would then swap my books around. So I'd put the books from the morning in my locker and the books for the evening out of my locker. I would then recommend setting an alarm if you're worried that you're going to forget to take all your books home. Set an alarm to go off, a silent alarm, about 3 or 4 minutes after the bell would normally go to end the day. That way you can then collect all your books, put them back in your bag, and then go home. Now the next bit was amazing. My stepmom actually come up with this idea, and the idea was that at home, next to, say, the dinner table where you would normally do your homework, or in your bedroom, or wherever it's convenient, is to have just one of those plastic container boxes. Now in that box you would have all your school books, all the things that you would need, things like your calculator, your math stuff, all your workbooks, all your reading material, everything school related would go in that box. And on that box, believe it or not, I would have another timetable. Some people like to put it above their box, I'd like to put it on my box. At least then my parents can see what lessons I have that day, so if they felt the need to help me with anything, or if they knew that I had a particular type of homework that had to be due in for a particular lesson, they would be able to help me organise my time in terms of homework. The rule in my house was, as soon as you get home, you have a quick light snack and a drink, and then you do your homework for about an hour, or until it's needed to be done, and then we would go off and do our gaming and such. I know not every teenager wants that to be the thing, and it's, I'll do my homework when I feel like it. Maybe just, you know, do it as soon as you get in. I hated it. Believe me, I fought against it, and there were many arguments in the house about it, but I'm very thankful for it. It did work out really well, and it was a great way of organising myself. So, have a box, put all your books in it, have your bag next to that box, on the box, in the box, wherever. There is a special box to have your special little bag to go next to it. It just means as well that before you collect your bag in the morning to go to school, you know that you can swap those books over. I would recommend doing it the night before, just so you're not rushing around in the morning, because again, organising time is definitely not our strongest point. So that is everything on my list. I highly recommend writing comments about any things that you would add to your list of things that you would have, and also please do read the comments so that you can get other information from other people who are still at school or have been at school. Bye bye, bye bye.